The metal door slid open with a loud hiss. Two tall, insect-like guards dragged a human inside the torture chamber. His face was bruised, his lips bleeding, but his eyes were calm. The guards pushed him into a metal chair and strapped his arms and legs tight. Around him, strange machines hummed with energy. The room smelled like old blood and burnt flesh.
Alien.
Tools, sharp and glowing, hung from the walls. Standing in front of him was Commander Voraltek, a six-eyed alien who had broken hundreds of prisoners. "You're the last human we captured," Voraltek said in a cold voice. "Let's see how long you last." The human didn't reply. He just smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile, it was something else. A smile that made even the guards pause for a second. Voraltek signaled to begin. A long metal needle moved slowly toward the human's arm. It wasn't just sharp, it sent tiny shocks of pain. Into every nerve it touched. The moment it pierced skin, the guards expected screams. They got silence. The human didn't even flinch. Another tool heated up, burning lines into his chest. The smell of cooked flesh filled the room, still no sound. The commander leaned forward. "You think silence will protect you? You'll scream soon." The human looked him in the eye and whispered, "Try harder." Voraltek narrowed his eyes. No one had ever said that to him. He ordered the pain level to be doubled. Bones cracked. Muscles tore. Electric currents ran through his spine. But the human just stared at the ceiling, breathing slowly as if he was bored. Hours passed. The guards changed shifts. Blood pooled. Under the chair. But the man didn't scream, didn't cry, didn't beg. Finally, Voraltek slammed his fist on the control panel. "What are you?" he shouted. "Why won't you break?" The human's voice was dry but clear. "Because this is nothing. You don't know real pain." Voraltek took a step back. He didn't understand. This wasn't a warrior they had checked. No military implants. No training records. Just a civilian caught in the wrong place. And yet here he was, surviving what soldiers had died from. Whispers spread across the ship. Guards who once mocked humans now avoided the chamber. Even the torturer assigned for the next shift refused to enter. Something felt wrong. This human wasn't acting like prey, he was studying them, watching every move, learning how the machines worked. His eyes followed wires, buttons, doors. And when no one thought he was listening, he was. On the third day, a young alien guard asked him quietly, "Why aren't you afraid?" The human turned his head slowly and answered, "Because I've seen worse, and because I know how this ends." The guard didn't ask more, just backed away. That night, the ship's lights flickered. Something moved through the security systems. Silent signal traveled between locked doors. No one noticed, except the human. He smiled again, a deep, cold smile. Voraltek thought he had captured a weak creature. But what he had brought aboard wasn't weak. It was something old, something dangerous, something human. And the worst part? He hadn't even started fighting back yet. The alarms didn't go off when the new torturer entered. The ship stayed silent, cold, and dim. The creature was known across 5 star systems as the Extractor. No one knew what species it belonged to. Its skin was pale and smooth, and it had no eyes, just a face full of scars and black veins. The guards gave it wide space as it slid across the metal floor, dragging a bag full of tools behind it. It didn't speak. It didn't need to. Its reputation was enough to terrify even the strongest prisoners. But the human in the chair, he just looked at it and tilted his head. "You, the new guy?" he asked. The Extractor said nothing. It reached into its bag and pulled out something sharp and slow spinning. The human sighed. "I hope you're better than the last one." The session started with neural drills, tools that touch the mind, not the flesh. Memories were forced to surface: pain, fear, sorrow. But instead of crying or screaming, the human began to talk. He told stories of war zones on Earth, of watching friends die, of losing family in bombings. The Extractor dug deeper. It tried to force the man to relive each moment, to make him collapse. But the human controlled the memories. He described them in detail with no fear. The torturer paused, confused. It tried again, This time it searched for joy, for love, something soft to shatter. But the human had buried it all. Hours passed. The creature increased the intensity. Blood ran from the human's nose, his body shook from nerve pressure, but his voice stayed strong. "This isn't torture," he said. "This is memory lane." One of the guards watching from behind the glass shivered. "He's enjoying this," the guard whispered. "That's not possible." But deep down, they all knew this human wasn't normal. He was feeding off the pain, like it made him stronger. The extractor brought out its final tool. A black sphere that connected to the heart and forced the body to feel 1,000 deaths at once. The moment it touched the human's chest, the ship's power dipped. Lights blinked. The room went cold. Human gasped, but it wasn't fear. It was excitement. "Now this is new," he said. His body shook violently. Bones cracked. Blood sprayed from his mouth. Still he grinned. "You finally made me feel something." The torturer took a step back. Its hands trembled. This had never happened before. It tried to stop the device, but the human had already grabbed it. Despite the pain, despite being strapped down, he had caught the alien's wrist. "Your turn," he whispered. And suddenly, the machine exploded with sparks. The extractor screamed. For the first time in its life, it felt fear, it felt pain. The guards rushed in, but the human was still locked down, laughing, eyes wild and full of madness. The extractor crawled back, its body twitching from the feedback. "Get it away from me!" it cried. "It's not human! It's something else!" But Vraltek, watching the whole thing, didn't stop it. He was no longer angry, he was curious. What kind of being enjoys pain? What kind of species takes torture as a challenge? The human sat in the blood-soaked chair, body broken but mind sharp. "This was fun," he whispered to himself. "Wonder what's next." He looked up at the camera, directly at Vraltek. That smile returned. Not friendly, not angry. Just a warning. The kind of smile that said the real nightmare hadn't even begun. The guards didn't speak as they wheeled the human into the black chamber. No lights, no sounds, just an empty room with a single chair in the center and thick cables hanging from the ceiling. The chamber was called Mindfall. It wasn't used often. It's only for those too strong for normal pain. It didn't hurt the body, it crushed the mind. It forced the victim into a fake world built from their worst fears and memories. Most broke within minutes. Some never woke up again. So the human didn't struggle. He sat down like it was nothing. One of the technicians leaned over to a control panel and said, "He'll be begging in 5 minutes." But deep down, no one believed it anymore. When the machine activated, the human's eyes closed and his mind was pulled into the simulation. He woke up in a dark city. Rain poured from a red sky. Shadows moved between burning buildings. Screams echoed through the air. He stood in the middle of the chaos, unarmed, alone. The simulation was designed to feed on fear, to make the victim feel helpless, hunted, and lost. Giant creatures crawled from the smoke. Faces from his past friends, enemies, dead families screamed his name in pain. Fires spread around him. The sky cracked with lightning. He should have panicked. But he didn't. He looked around calmly and whispered, "Nice try." Instead of running, he walked toward the danger. A shadowy figure lunged at him, teeth sharp and eyes glowing. He tackled it to the ground, tore off its mask, and laughed. "You're not real," he said. "You're just noise." The simulation twisted the world again. He was thrown into a memory, one of his worst. A battlefield. His squad dying. He stood there as bullets flew past. He didn't scream. He didn't fall. He moved forward. Again and again, the system tried to break him, but he wasn't breaking. He was adapting. Outside the chamber, something was wrong. His readings were off. The human's brainwaves weren't collapsing, they were spiking. "He's not being broken," a technician said, confused. "He's in control." One of the engineers checked the system logs. "He's changing the code." From the inside, that wasn't possible. No prisoner had ever done that. But the human was rewriting the rules of the simulation. He turned walls into weapons. He made fear his ally, started hunting the monsters. And one by one, he destroyed every nightmare the system threw at him. Then the power began to flicker. Lights in the lab burst. Sparks flew from the cables. The simulation was overheating. The mainframe tried to force a shutdown, but the human's mind was holding it open. He didn't want out. He wanted more. Inside, the city had gone quiet. The monsters were gone. The fires were out. He stood alone in the center of the fake world, breathing slowly. He looked up and said, "Tell your commander, I'm ready for the next level." The lab crew scrambled to kill the power. With a loud crack, the system finally crashed. The human's eyes opened. He was still strapped to the chair, covered in sweat, bleeding from the nose, but smiling. "That was the best one yet," he said softly. No one answered. No one moved. Every guard, every scientist, every soldier watching him had the same thought. He didn't survive the nightmare. He owned it. And now they were trapped with him. The footage leaked within hours. Technician, too shocked by what he saw, secretly copied the files and sent them to an underground alien network. Within one cycle, the video of the human in the mind chamber, laughing, bleeding, breaking the simulation was everywhere. Aliens across the galaxy watched in silence as the human turned terror into power. Some refused to believe it. Others studied it frame by frame, whispering, "What kind of monster doesn't fear pain?" The video reached old alien empires, warlords, even black markets where warriors paid to see death trials. But this wasn't a death trial. This was survival, madness, and control all in one human body. Soon, one of the ancient war species, the Draxon, sent a direct message to Vraltek's ship. It was just one line. "Release him, now, before it's too late." Vraltek read the message and laughed. Too late. For us, he's one man. But even he didn't believe his own words. He had seen the human smile through shattered bones, had watched him break the torture AI with only his thoughts. Still his pride held firm. "Prepare for the next phase," he ordered. "We're going to tear his mind apart." Something had changed on the ship. Guards walked faster in the halls. Some avoided the door to the human's cell. Whispers filled the air. One by one, the crew began requesting transfers. Others simply disappeared. The security chief found a message scratched into a wall. "He's not locked in here with us. We're locked in here with him." Inside his cell, the human sat on the floor, eyes closed, counting slowly under his breath. Not to pass time, but to learn. Every time a door opened, he listened. Every time a machine hummed, he remembered the sound. His brain was building a map of the ship through noise, vibration, and scent. He knew when the guards changed shifts. He knew who was watching him. Now he knew something else. Someone had sent him a message. It was hidden in the static of the intercom. Just 2 words, repeated once at 3 a.m. "Stay awake." That was the signal. Someone was helping him. Not out of pity, not out of fear, out of curiosity. Someone wanted to see what happened if the human got loose. That night, the lights in the lower deck blinked for exactly 7 seconds. A maintenance robot entered the hall near his cell. It paused, then dropped a small tool beside the energy bars. The guards didn't notice, but the human did. He looked up at the nearest camera. The same smile spread across his face. The one that now haunted millions across the galaxy. A smile that promised no escape. A smile that whispered, "Your mistake wasn't capturing me. Your mistake was not killing me immediately." Vraltek stood in his command room, staring at the map of Earth. "If this is what one human can do," he said, almost to himself, "what happens if more come looking for him?" He didn't know that Earth already knew, and they were listening. Somewhere far from the ship, a coded human distress signal pulsed through space. It wasn't loud, it wasn't long, but it carried one word across the stars: ready. The scientist entered the human cell with slow, careful steps. He wasn't a soldier or a guard. He didn't carry a weapon, just a small data pad and a cold expression. The human looked up from the floor, his wrists still chained, his face tired but calm. The scientist stopped 2 meters away and said, "You are not afraid? You are not broken. I want to know why." The human raised one eyebrow. "Curious now, are we?" he replied. The scientist didn't answer. He crouched and placed the pad on the ground, turning it toward the prisoner. On the screen was a layout of the ship. Every corridor, every system, every weakness. "Why are you showing me this?" the human asked. "Because the scientist," said, lowering his voice, "I don't want to know how much you can endure. I want to know what you'll do if you get out." The human stared at the map, then back at the scientist. "Deal." Within the next hour, the lights flickered across the lower decks. A silent alarm was triggered, but no one responded. The guards assumed it was just another system glitch. The human's chains unlocked without a sound. He stood up, rolled his shoulders, and whispered finally. He didn't run, he didn't sneak. He moved like he belonged there, silent, sharp, focused. One by one, he moved through the halls, taking weapons, tools, and information. The scientists had given him access codes, but the human used them sparingly. He preferred improvisation. A pipe, a vent, a timed distraction. He wasn't just escaping, he was studying. By the time the first body was found, throat crushed, no. Weapons used, it was too late. Security locked down the lower decks. The commander ordered drones to scan every corridor. But the human was already inside the command center systems. He disabled cameras, rerouted guards, opened doors that should have stayed locked. In the control room, Vraltek finally understood the human had planned this, not for hours, for days, maybe since the beginning. This wasn't a random escape, it was a quiet invasion. The human appeared. In front of the command room door, just before the final lockdown, he stared into the lens, knowing Vraltek was watching. "I asked you to try harder," he said, "but you never listened." Then the doors burst open. Smoke filled the chamber. The guards fired, but the bullets passed through mist and shadows. When the smoke cleared, only Vraltek remained on his knees, bleeding from his shoulder, his weapon gone. The human walked in, calm and slow. No armor, no gun. Just a crowbar in one hand and silence in the other. "You tortured me," he said. "You've studied me. Now it's your turn." Vraltek raised his hands, shaking. "Please don't kill me!" The human crouched in front of him. "I'm not here to kill you." He leaned close. "I'm here to show you how easy it was." Then he left the commander alive, bruised, broken, but breathing. A message. A warning. A promise. Before leaving, he hacked the ship's signal array and sent one short message to Earth. Unlocked. In space, above the ship, a small black dot blinked into existence. A cloaked Earth vessel. It had been waiting, watching, and now it was ready to respond, because this wasn't the end. This was just the start. The command ship drifted in silence. No alarms, no guards. Just the quiet hum of a broken empire. Vraltek sat in his chair, shaking, replaying the last words the human had spoken. "I'm here to show you how easy it was." He had thought the torture chambers were unbreakable. The human was just an animal to study. But now he knew the truth. He had never been the one in control. Across the galaxy, the human's final message played again and again, unlocked. The word spread like wildfire. On pirate stations and military bunkers, inside black market, torture rings. Even the most feared alien mercenaries paused when they heard it, because they knew what it meant. Earth had received the signal. The galaxy had tested a human and failed. Back on the ship, the scientist who helped the human walked the empty halls. Doors hung open, machines flickered and died. Wall carried a marked scratches, blood smears, broken equipment, but none of it compared to what was coming. A flash of blue light appeared above the ship. The Earth vessel uncloaked. It wasn't large, but it didn't need to be. It was fast, precise, built for retrieval and destruction. The ship docked without resistance. The human stood at the airlock, arms folded, no longer a prisoner. A soldier in a black uniform stepped forward. "Name?" the soldier asked. "Doesn't matter," the human replied. "I did what I came to do. Mission complete." The human looked back at the broken corridors behind him. Message delivered. Within minutes, the Earth ship disconnected and vanished into warp. No fire, no explosion, just silence. Then, A timer activated inside Voraltek's ship, one the human had placed without anyone noticing. The countdown began. 60 seconds. Voraltek tried to stop it. Couldn't. He fell to the floor screaming, not from pain, but from the fear the human had finally planted in his mind. But the ship didn't explode. Instead, every screen lit up. Single human face appeared, bloody, bruised, smiling. Same footage that had terrified the galaxy played again. Only this time, with a new message beneath it. You call it torture, call it training. Across hundreds of systems, leaders watched in silence. They had underestimated humans. Had seen them as soft, emotional, weak. But now they understood. Pain didn't break humans. It made them sharper, stronger, unstoppable. From that day forward, no alien dared to capture another human. No species, no empire, no warlord even thought of trying, because the story of the tortured man spread across the stars, and no one forgot. What happened when they tried to break him? They learned one truth, the hard way. Humans don't fear pain. They master it, and when you push one too far, he'll smile and ask for more. There was no official report, no galactic press release, no trial, just silence. The ship where the human had been held was now listed as missing. Voraltek disappeared. The extractor was never seen again. The scientist who helped him vanished, his name erased from the system. But the story lived on in whispers, in warnings, in every corner of the galaxy where fear ruled, and in every dark cell. Where a new prisoner cried, someone would say, "You should be thankful you're not human." Back on Earth, the man who had survived it all walked alone through a quiet base hidden beneath the ice of Antarctica. No medals, no interviews, it's just a debrief room with 2 chairs, a steel table, and a recording device. Across from him sat a woman with gray eyes and a calm voice. "We monitored everything," she said, "even the parts they tried to block. You did well." He didn't smile, he just nodded. "You want to tell us what you learned?" she asked. He leaned back in his chair. "They don't understand us," he said. "They think pain is the end. For us, it's just the beginning." The woman typed a few notes, then looked up. "There are others, captured, being tested like you were." The man's eyes narrowed. "We want you to train them," she continued. "Not how to fight, they already know that. We want you to teach them how to survive what you survived." He stood up, quiet for a long moment. Said, "It's not about surviving. It's about choosing when not to break." The next day, a new program began. Quiet, hidden, not for soldiers, but for survivors. Humans who had been captured, tortured, changed, they were brought together under one rule: never scream, never beg, never stop. Elsewhere in the galaxy, strange reports began to surface. Alien torturers gone missing. Black sites left in ruins. Whole ships found drifting with no life signs, only strange symbols scratched into the walls. A human face, smiling. The legend grew. Some called them ghosts. Others called them monsters. But Earth had another name for them: the Unbroken. Their message was simple. You thought you could torture a human. You only taught us how to win. 'Cause the moment you try to break a human is the moment they decide to break you.